crowds drinking on the streets of Dublin, and we do know that they're not just drinking on the streets of Dublin, they're drinking elsewhere as well, has threatened to damage our progress that we have made on COVID-19 in terms of lockdown rules. And for more on this, we're joined now by Mannix Flynn, independent councillor in Dublin City Council. Mannix, what was your take on seeing those scenes around South William Street? And they obviously have happened elsewhere as well, around the capital and indeed around the country. What's your take on what should happen to change it, or what did you think of what you saw?
Good morning, Ciara. Look, I was simply appalling at what the images relating to what happened in South William Street. But it's not the first time it's happened in that particular area in recent months. It's been an ongoing issue down there, and it's happening in other parts of the city. I mean, the disappointment on the local people, the disappointment on the people in the city, the disappointment of the people who've made huge sacrifices. And it's important to remember that the vast majority of young people are adhering to the strict rules and conditions in relation to the pandemic and staying out of the city and staying away from social gatherings. This group was organised. They had contempt for the rest of us. They've come into South William Street. They behaved appallingly. They refused to kind of leave when residents asked them. The Gardaí took some time to get there because they're very, very busy. And then when they did get there, their powers are very, very,
The Gardaí did say now, Mannix, that no COVID restrictions were broken, that people were outside, they were outside the 100 metres away from the pub, and indeed they were social distancing.
Well, look, again, the point of the matter was a gathering crowd. The Gardaí came there, they weren't there 24 hours, watching them. Other people were watching them, and certainly from the footage that I'd seen and the witness accounts that I'd heard, they were actually in groups. They didn't give regard.
What's your view then on what the publicans have said, which is reopen the pubs, because that will put an end to on-street drinking?
You've got to imagine one thing, first of all, is that we are in the middle of a pandemic. We are in the middle of serious health warnings. We are in the middle of people who are dying and people who are being infected. And we're in the middle of a global pandemic, which is rising. And our only hope of actually getting the better of this is to social restrict. The only hope of having some measure of a decent Christmas is to social restrict. This is one particular sector, and it's all based on alcohol. It's not as if people.
So are you saying keep the pubs closed and stop the takeaway pints rather than stop the takeaway pints and reopen the pubs?
No, I think you stop the takeaway pints and you close that whole situation down, and you will look to subsidise, businesses who are suffering, and I'm all on for that. But the idea that you can simply hand out alcohol out a window and say, here you go, lads, it's all cool and trendy. And don't forget, these are all hipsters. I don't see any family members or anybody over 60 sticking their hand in the window of a public house to take out a pint. This is all groovy hipsters.